I'm back again with another review. This is also another request from my man, the Rap Fan 2014. Shout out to you. The album I'm about to do today, give me a minute to load up the In case you guys don't know, that's the Beastie Boys playing in the background if y'all hear it. The song Professor Booty off the Check Your Head album. Classic album. Definitely gotta get my hands on that album. The album, in my opinion, is the most underrated album to date. The album I'm reviewing today is Curtis Mayfield Superfly. Released in 1972 on his record label Curtum Records. He produced this whole album, you know. You guys should know who Curtis Mayfield is, hands down, one of the most prolific R&B musicians in his time. Singles I was known for are Pusha Man, Freddy's Dead, and I believe Superfly. I'm gonna give you a little history about Curtis Mayfield. He got to start in his group, The Impressions. In The Impression, they were like this political R&B soul group and stuff like that. And their music at the time in the 60s were like anthems like in the civil rights movement. So they were really like, I believe, like one of the first like R&B acts like embraced that whole black pride vibe to this music. He left. I think he left The Impressions around 1970 because he wanted to go solo. He wanted to start his own record label, and so he dropped his first album. What's his first album? His first album is called Curtis. That's like a very dope album. The album's kind of hard to come by now. It's not out of print or nothing like that. It's just kind of like rare. I mean, it's not rare. It's just you're gonna have to look hard for that one. That's all I have to say. And like that album was very, very praised, critically acclaimed, and stuff like that. And he started producing for people like the Staple Singers, Leroy Hudson, you know, people like that. Then like 1971, he dropped the album called Roots. That album was okay. It wasn't as good as Curtis in my opinion. It's not a bad album. It wasn't like cause you know that it wasn't like, how can I put it? It's good, but it's not like that good in my opinion. And so around this time, he got approached to do the soundtrack to the movie Superfly, which is a classic movie and stuff like that. You know, that movie had like Ron O'Neal. I don't know if you guys know Ron O'Neal, who he is. It had let me see some of the actors. Sheila Frazier. You know, I don't think you guys know who some of these actors are. Carl Lee. He played Eddie. Carl Lee, he actually appeared on an episode of Good Times. On this one episode, well, Walona's husband, he plays the role of Walona's husband. He came back and stuff like that. That's a very good episode. If I can find footage on the episode, I'll post a link to it in case you guys don't know. And so he got approached to do the soundtrack to the movie Superfly. And so 1972, he dropped this album. He dropped the album. This album right here is very, very, very gritty. In my opinion, it's like the first gangsta album. You know, the first really gangsta album. Not gangsta rap, just the gangsta album. Like, it was talking about drugs, the life of a pimp, like stuff like that. So, and like this album was it's like a very like dope like concept album in soul music, and this was released at a time when soul music was getting like political. Albums like Stevie Wonder's Intervisions, the OJ's Backstabbers, Marvin Gaye's What's Going On, those albums like that. And believe it or not, he actually, this was like his breakthrough album, like the album that got him more notified. Now I'm gonna get to the songs right now. Track number 1, Lil Child Running Wild. Lil Child Running Wild. Very, very dope song. I love that that build up. That's another thing about Curtis Mayfield too. I love like the arrangements he put together for his songs and stuff. Track number 2, Pusha Man. Very dope song. That song basically tells the whole story of a drug dealer perspective and stuff like that. Like it had like, I believe that song, a lot of people actually confuse that song. They think that's the theme song to the whole movie. That actually isn't it. It's the song Superfly. And also, Ice-T actually covered the song in 1988 on his Power album for the song. He named it I'm Your Pusher, where he's talking about selling hip hop. Like he used hip hop as like a metaphor for drugs and stuff like that. Check out that cover out too. Track number 3, Freddy's Dead. Very dope song. That song actually tells like the story about how Fat Freddy died in the movie. Because you know, if you've seen the movie Superfly, he actually got run over by a car. One of my favorite moments of the song was this one episode of Sanford and Son. I think it's called Libra All Over Fred, something like that. It was an episode when Fred thought he was dying from old ass collard green, and he was lying on his bed and stuff like that. And he turned the radio on, and also said Freddy's dead, and he thought that song was about him, and he quickly turned the radio off. Like, I don't know, when I hear that song though, it just, like, one part of my mind thinks Superfly, but the other part of my mind thinks of like that episode of Sanford and Son. Track number 4, Junkie Chase instrumental. Very dope instrumental, stuff like that. Track the next side, Give Me a Love, the love song. That song right there, whew, classic song. I love that beat alone. You guys should know that song because Wale sampled it. A lot of people know it's like people like Wale, Snoop Dogg, they sample that song. And that's just a classic baby making record, you know. Kind of underrated song if you ask me. Track number 2, Offside 2, Eddie You Should Know Better. Hold on real quick. Yeah, Eddie You Should Know Better. That song right there is like, that song right there speaks a lot because it talks to you about the consequences of you using people for your own needs and how you need to watch when you choose your friends and stuff like that. Track number 3, side 2, No Thing on Me or Nothing on Me, the Cocaine song. That's like one of my favorite songs of this whole album. Probably is my favorite song. See, the point of this song is like how a lot of times albums leaves people getting hooked on like drugs and stuff like that. And he's saying that he doesn't succumb to like the drug dealers and the weakness of drugs and stuff like that. And he likes to keep his mind ahead of all that bullshit. Very dope song. That's another thing about Curtis Mayfield. He was a really dope philosopher in his music. Track number 4, The Think instrumental. Another dope instrumental. And the last track on the original LP, Superfly, which is the really theme song of. Hold on. Oh crap. I think I made a mistake. Freddy's Dead is actually the real theme song to Superfly. This the song of Superfly itself was played in the closing credits. And Freddie's Dead was actually nominated for a Grammy too. So that song Superfly is a very dope song right there. Okay, and that's it. And this album was re-released like in 1997. And what's interesting about the re-release, it comes with like a few mixes, a few like demo tracks, and it also comes with like an interview with Curtis Mayfield on the Superfly. And to top it all off, this is a classic album right here. This song influenced a lot of people. Like if you haven't seen the movie though, check the movie out. That movie is dope. I know a lot of people kind of dismiss the blaxploitation movie. They think it's like low budget stuff like that. Kind of think it's corny, but you can learn a thing or two about those blaxploitation movies. You know, Curtis Mayfield, like this album and Back to the World that's all my favorite albums. That album, Back to the World, and Curtis are my favorite albums from him. And another thing too about this album was really like, next to Isaac Hayes, the Chef soundtrack, those were the two of the most successful like blaxploitation soundtracks. And like it was at a time when like there was one point in music history when the soundtracks were outselling the movie itself. Don't believe me? Check out the results for the Marvin Gaye Trouble Man album. So that's all the time I have today. Stay tuned for more stuff. Peace.